Hello, welcome to our demonstration of eDepot and a little bit of our service management product that we'll be covering today. So we've been around since 2002 and we do focus exclusively on NetSuite. We'll talk a little bit about our asset tracker. It's embedded in our eDepot. It allows you to track both your assets and your customers. It can be a fixed asset or not. It could be a rental unit, it could be a vendor item, it could be anything with unique identifier. We will allow you to track it from the time you receive it to the time you put it into scrap, or your customer puts it into scrap. Depot repair is another component of that. So when a customer has something that is been purchased from you or something that you're warranting, they may need to have it replaced in advanced replacement. They may need to have it repaired, both out in the field or in the field, and you need to track the entire process. So our Depot repair module will allow you to track all of those things. Finally, we're going to do a brief overview of our service management. We won't cover all of it, but we will cover the ability to create a work order and how you can build that work order and how you can ship things back out. So when the depot repair is completed, you can have the work order to track all the work that was done and then send that back out. So with that, let's go ahead and go to our demonstration. And we're going to start now with a unit record. So let's go ahead and go to our unit record, and let's talk about that for a minute. So here you can see we have a unit. The thing we do with a unit is we do a 360-degree view of the unit. So you know exactly when it was purchased, you know if it was sold, to whom and to when, which customer may have it, if it was repaired and put back to stock, if it was repaired and sent back out to the customer, if it was sent back and sent to scrap or to your vendor. All those things can be tracked here. So just note, you can see a serial number. If you don't have a serial number, you can have a unique identifier. These forms are flexible. You could show a unique identifier, as we have some called IMEIs that some people use this number instead. This could be blank, so it is flexible to your needs and your requirements. You can easily see where is it. You can see exactly the location, and you can also see the total cost. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Here you can see, what the item is, what it was sold for, what if you want to categorize it with a category and then have a type, you can do that as well. We have a contract module to allow you to track warranty, to have extra coverages. So if you have that, you could have that listed here. If not, then this area would be blank. In our depot repair section, you can see what's up, what's the last thing that's happened to it is received from the customer, replace or scrap. And then you can see more information here. So here we can see things like when it was purchased and the purchase order number, the item receipt number, the item fulfillment, when it was created. So let's just take a quick look at, say, the item receipt. So if we come here, we go to item receipt 280. When we click on our SM tab, and we can see that the SM units, here's our 42, 0001, 4214, the one we're just looking at with our cost of $293. We can come here to the item expenses and see, this is what it was originally ordered. And on the NetSuite side of things, we can see these particular numbers that were received. So what happens is when a purchase order is received, then it will then be automatically created into those units, and that rate will be established, which is what we saw here with that purchase order rate and that item receipt. So that's how it starts its life, if you will. And then it was eventually sold to JetBlue, and it was fulfilled on item fulfillment 245. You could click down and see that as well. All right, so a unit may have components. You may add things to it. So for example, here we added a hose, we did a calibration service, which is an hourly work thing, and we also added a gasket. So if you notice, these two items here, the hose and the gasket, are inventory items, but they're not serialized. So that's why they're called a component. And a calibration also is not serialized, so it's also a component, which is the actual service of doing the calibration, of which it took 1 hour, and the cost of that was $80. So, and if you notice, 3 times 1 is $3, 1 $80, and 2 for $5, which does total up to $93, which is the cost that we have with the original $2,000 plus the $93 that we added to it, made it that total. If we had wanted to, we could have subunits as well. But in this case, we didn't have any particular subunits. This particular purchase and sale just allows you to see the item receipt and the item fulfillment, and that's what you can see here. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about support cases and work orders. I'm just going to show you so you can see all the RMAs that have happened, the work orders, any parts that have happened, the inspections. You can see all that here at a glance. But I want to show you how did this get here, and this particular set of data got here through a case. So we're going to go ahead and go through the case and talk a little bit about a case and what that means. You can see here that we have case 48 for this particular item, and you can see some information about it. When they first call, they may say, hey, I'm not sure of the unit number, and you can simply come here, click and say, well, all right, is it located at South Street, Chicago? If so, I show you have one. Is it this one? And they can say yes or no. Is that not correct? You can try a different search and see if you can help them find it that way. So from there, you now can fill in the rest of this information, put in the repair. You can put in this as a button malfunction. Some of this information will default for you. And when you choose that serial number, it will default all of this wonderful information as well. Okay. So now that you've got that done, then once you save the case, then you now need to decide what you want to do next. So in this case, we can say we want to request a customer unit. When we do that, it's going to bring up the return authorization. It'll pre-populate all the information. It'll pre-populate the customer pending approval. It'll populate the item, which is that printer. It'll populate the base price, the average cost that we saw earlier, as well as that particular serial number. So it's going to pre-populate all those things, allowing you to very quickly go through the process. So now once it's done that, then it's going to start updating this information, and this particular box would have been checked. And then when it's received, it'll go into the warehouse, and you can see all of that there. So let's take a quick look at our return, because once you get our return, then you can see that you could have created a work order. So the same thing happens when you create the work order. You say create work order. It pulls up the information. You click submit, and it's going to create a work order for you. So in that work order, you can then see all the information that you want to see that was created there. So here we can see that work order 184 was created with the same button malfunctioning thing we've seen before, with the same site we've seen before. This now goes into, what all needs to happen to make this. So you can put in here how many hours you expect it's going to be. You could have done a service template, which would put in tasks and parts that might be needed, and the technician can put in what they did, any particular notes, etc. Now down here, you're going to see this list of tasks. So you can see what's completed, what's in progress, what's not started, and sometimes the cases may not need all of the tasks because it's a service template, and they may just then come in and mark these completed at some point. But at any rate, you can come here and see the original quantity that was requested, the used quantity, the rate, the cost. You can see all that here. If you don't want your technicians to see that, you can hide these fields and just show it to your accountants so they can be the ones to see rate and cost, etc. So now the other thing is they could have entered parts. In this case, we needed to have parts, but we also needed to send our item back. So the sales order was created to ship our item back. In this case, it wasn't covered under warranty. So in the sales order, they were charged for it, but this could have been a $0 item and allow that to go back to them. So that's what happens there. All right, so now let's go back to our task. I want to just talk about that for a minute. So if you have a lot of technicians, the task list might be difficult for them to see. So one of the things you can do here is you can create a dashboard for anyone, and I'll show you more about dashboards in a moment. And these port lists can be here. So Dale Williams could have a list just like this, just for him, and he would see just this particular list below. He would see that, okay, these are all the tasks I need to do, and he can update this as, yep, I've done that one, and this was no issue. I can type that in very easily, and I can tab, and I can say I spent 1 hour, and here I can say this one's also complete. I don't really have a note to say I did this exact thing, and I spent exactly 0.5 hours as it said here. And then again, it's going to come up here and give you what actually happened. So here we had original quantity of 2. We took it a little bit longer, And so now it actually costs us $300 for the 3 for the 100. So this is a way your technicians can actually work with the system when they see things that need to be done. Okay. All right. So from there, my work order can now be marked as completed or up to date or ready to be invoiced. In this case, I said I'm pretty much ready to go. You guys can invoice it. Somebody can come in and say, well, I don't see all these tasks are complete. And someone can say, oh, well, they are. I forgot to mark them complete. They can go ahead and invoice or mark them complete or whatever they choose to do. So it's a step that allows everyone to manage it as they go, which is a great segue for the end of this particular demo. And in here, we can see the dashboard. So the depot repair dashboard helps you track all the things that are going on, because these things all elapse usually over a series of days. So we want to know at a high level, how many do we have pending return authorization, how many have vendor return, how many have sales orders pending authorization. We may want to know how many that we're waiting on. We're waiting on 4 things to come back. We're waiting to send out 11 things. We want to see the task. We can see the task by everyone. We can just change that right here and get a bigger list. We can drill into it. Typically, we can drill into it, and we can see then all the tasks and see it that way. So we can do that as well. And here I can see my cases with return authorizations, my depot repair, pending receipt as well, which is an important thing because they got the RMA, they said they were sending it back, you're still waiting on it. These are the ones where you're sending it back to them. And finally, these are the ones where you're waiting on your vendor. So whether you're waiting on your customer, they're waiting on you, or you're waiting on your vendor, you have this all at your disposal. All the data is easily accessible, so you can create any searches that you want as well and add these to your dashboard and more. And then finally, just a quick little demonstration here of the depot repair process. So there are 3 different ways we can do this to wrap it up. So we can have a vendor repair where the customer calls in, you receive it, you create the vendor return authorization, and then you can bill it if you wish. You'll receive that back in, and that'll finish that vendor repair. Or you can do advanced replacement, where you're going to send a unit right away back out to them. You may or may not bill them. If you do, you can, and then you can put that fixed unit back to stock. And this one's with a loaner, which is very similar to the one above. And then the one we did was actually a repair without the loaner. So we did everything up to repair and update the sales order. We sent it back to the customer, but we never did send a loaner. So you have those different ways of doing the depot repair process. Feel free to call us with any questions. The phone number is 713-589-4725, and that's extension 301 and 303. All right, well, I hope you guys have a great day, and thank you for watching our demonstration.